So first off, Grayson, why don't you read where we left off, the thing that Jack wrote in his notebook? What was it?
脳は小さいそう。小さ
Chisa.
そう。小さそう。Small something.
You're
Or it's
right.
small maybe?
What?
No, it's small maybe, the soul? I'm not sure about the no.
The soul. Okay. So you see how this ends with a saw?
Yeah.
Saw is not a descriptor word. It's not like na or e or no, where you can use it to describe something, right? So if so was being described as chisai, right? It wouldn't work
Hmm.
like that, because you need to have the chisai in that case, right? Chisai so would theoretically be a
Mm.
small so. Instead, this is a different grammar point, where soul is basically, so in Japanese, you can take two words and combine them together, just like in English. Like you might get the word like birdhouse. However, there's certain
Compound.
rules for this. Compound words, yes. For example, ikimono is an example of a compound word. It's combined the word ikiru, which is to live, plus mono, which is thing. And ikimono means a living thing. This is the same
Hmm.
with chisa soul. We're combining soul, which basically means looks like or seems like, and chisa, which is small, to mean looks like it's small or seems small, but it's basically made as a compound word rather than being made as two different words. And so the thing that is seemingly small is the no. That's why it's being marked by the topic. So speaking of the no, it seems like it would be small. No in this context is brains. Looks like it has a small brain, because Jack is talking about the putredon. The next line here is going to go to Afifa.
あとは、プテレドのもう一度見ていた。Jack said to look at the, Jack looked at the Pterodon one more time.
Mm-hmm. He looked at the parrot one more time and said. So in this context is probably the next line that he says. The next line right here, it's going to go to Zapik. What does Jack say?
こいつ、もしかしたら、突然変いいかないいかな
Totsuzan hen-i means like a sudden mutation.
Oh, so this thing, maybe it's... Did you say mutation?
Yes, mutation.
Yeah. Looks like a mutation. Or I wonder if it's a mutation.
So he's kind of saying it's probably not a real Pterodon, but maybe some kind of creature that mutated to look like a Pterodon is kind of what his hypothesis is there. Maybe perhaps that's what's going on, this guy right here. And the next line is going to go to Grayson.
突然に okay, yeah. 何それ、兄が、聞いた? So Annie is asking what that is.
Exactly. What is a Totsuzen Hen-i? What is a random mutation? And this bubble right here, it's going to go to Zapper.
普通の生き物から突然形や性質が全く違う視線が生まれるっていうことだよ。What did you write?
Descendants or children.
Okay. So he's saying for normal living beings, to suddenly say shitsu is like, is it like
It's the
to change?
suddenly umareru is what it's saying.
Okay.
So let's break up this into small parts. 普通の生き物から子孫が生まれる。Do you know what a 子孫 is?
No.
A 子孫 is the children, the babies.
Okay.
The babies were, right, this is areru, which means rather than saying to do umu, which is the verb on top, it is to be umud.
Yeah, so
So the children were, yes, born. Where were they born from? Who gave birth to these children?
From the living beings?
Yes, from the living creatures, normal living human beings. So normal living creatures have given birth to strange children. And these strange children, we're describing them with a relative clause. So that is the rest of this information here, is all describing these children that were given birth to by normal creatures. They give birth to chigao shosen. Do you know what chigao means?
It's like something different.
Yes, they give birth to different children. And these children are different in a mataku kind of way, which means completely different. So the children are totally different when you're talking about the qualities of seijitsu or katachi. Do you know what katachi means?
It's the shape.
Yeah, so there's shape and nature, I believe, is shitsu. Seishitsu. Yep, nature. So like the personality kind of like nurture versus nature of the creature. So these are totally different, even though a normal creature had given birth to them. Like maybe like a mole from a donkey and a horse.
Yeah.
Then we have teiyu koto da. You know what this means? Toiyu koto.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
It means like it's being said. I don't know how to translate it.
Mm-hmm. So that's not what I'm saying. You're right that the verb iu, right, can mean said. That's it right here, being said. However, iu has a second use. So iu has two basic uses. Either it's talking about things people are saying or said in the past, or it's talking about defining things. So most of the time when you say iu as part of a relative clause, do you remember what a relative clause was?
No.
It's when a sentence, basically a baby sentence, is being used as an adjective.
Okay, yeah.
And
right.
That means it's describing a noun. For example, right here was a relative clause. Mataku chigau shison. We're describing the shison that is totally different. We're using a little baby sentence to describe that noun of descendants. So this right here is the same thing. Iu is attached to the noun koto, which means things or events. In this context, the koto is referring to totuzen i hen. Totuzen hen i. Sorry, I pronounced that wrong. That's what the koto is referring to. So it's saying we're defining totuzen hen i as being when a normal animal, when a child is born from a normal animal that is completely different from the normal animal in nature and shape. That is what a sudden mutation is. Yeah. It's a hard sentence, which is why I gave it to you. Not someone else. Next line here is going to go to Afifa.
その時、プテラノドンが首を振ったので、兄が笑っていった。At the time, the
You got cut off for a second? Sorry. Kubi o futta is a way to say to shake your head. He shook its neck. So, did a brrr. So at the time, what did the putteradon do? The pterodon が首を振った。What did 首を振った mean?
To shake the neck.
Yeah, so at that time, the pterodon shook its neck. This right here was the tool used, right? De marks tools. The tool used to cause Annie to do what? 笑った。 Well, she did. She laughed and said the following. So, warao is a weird word that can mean laugh or smile. And you just have to choose by context. In this context, I'd say it's not clear, but it always means smile. But sometimes it means laugh. So you just gotta guess what it is. So the next line here is going to go to Grayson.
ほら、突然変異、なんかじゃないて。
Contextually, he's describing why he kubi o futad.
It's not a mutation?
You're right. This te right here, do you know what that means?
Like there's like this te form, which has a lot of different meanings.
Oh, that's a really good guess. I could see why you made that mistake. You thought it was ite. It's not ite.
Yeah.
It's janai.
Oh.
Janai. So totally unrelated. That is a good guess though. The hint why it's not that is that there's no real reason to be like, I don't think there's any verb that's naiu or anything like that. Naidu or anything. Anyway, this is just te, which is a slurring of toyu or toita. What does toita mean?
I'm not sure.
Ita is the verb we just saw in the previous line, which means to have said. So this is being used to say, look, he's saying, I'm not some kind of weird mutation, because a putradong right after Jack says out loud, perhaps he's a weird mutation. What's a mutation? A mutation is when the child looks very different from its parents. And then the putradong goes, brrr, right, shakes his head. And then Annie goes, ha 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 ha, he's saying he's not a mutation, because he shook his head. Almost like he was responding to that. The next line goes to Zapik.
じゃあ、こいつは何なんだ？ここは一体どこなんだよ？ Well then, this thing is, what is it? And this place, where is it?
Perfect. And the next line is gonna go to Afifa.
兄はプテラノドンに顔を寄せてきた。And he does something to the pterodon's face.
Well, he definitely does something to the putradon with a face. Yoseru means to make something come near. So my assumption would be that Annie brought her own face to the putradon. Would be my interpretation. It doesn't have to be. It's 100% possible she made the putradon bring its face over to something. That would also be a correct interpretation, because the cow is not defined. But in general, when something's not being defined, like it's not whose cow whoever's face it is not being mentioned, it's normally the subject's face. Like that's like the most common interpretation, but it's not incorrect to guess that it's the putradon's face. But I would say in the context, I would say Annie brought her face to the putradon, closer to the putradon, rather than making the putradon bring its face over here. Because that would mean like, come here, putradon, right? Which you could definitely do. It's in her personality, but the guessing is like, what do we think makes the most sense in the context? And you're just guessing by that. What did the kita mean? Yes, the question, yes. We're always using that kita in this book as a question. And the question is going to go to Grayson.
Henry, ここが どこなのか教えてくれない。Henry's the dog.
Yes,
Coco
Henry
is
is the
here.
dog. She has decided to name the Puttradong after the dog.
Oh, right, yeah. Henry the Pterodon.
Mhm. You know what Oshieru means?
I think that's to teach.
It is to teach. However, words don't translate one-to-one when you're learning different languages. A vast majority of them will be used in slightly different ways than how they're used in whichever language you're translating into. Oshieru is one of those words. We normally translate it as to teach, but it's more like to have information that someone else doesn't have and to give that information to that person. That's more the meaning of what oshieru means. So because of that, that's what teaching is, right? I have information you don't know and I'm teaching it to you. But it also is used with any kind of information. Like if you're asking somebody for directions, if they have the knowledge of where you need to go, they can tell you where you need to go. So in this context, English to teach doesn't really work well. So we would just use the word tell. So Henry, can you tell us, ここがどこ? Can you tell us what? ここが?
Doko is where? Coco is
Yes.
here.
Yes.
Where here is.
Exactly, where here is. And in English, it's a weird language, so we like to rearrange our questioning words, which Japanese does not do. So in English, we'd say, where is this place? Well, I don't know why we need to add this place in here. Where are we? Where is this? There we go. Where is this? That's what that is. So we start with the where in English, because English is silly like that. So, yep, it says, where is this, Henry? Can you tell us? So, kurenai will not be translated into anything into English in particular. Do you know why it's in the sentence? What is its job? What is it telling us?
Is it like when you have a negative to make the questions polite?
It is! It's a negative to make a question polite. That is the one use for it. And the second use is the fact the verb is kureru, which means if you did this action for me, I'd be really happy and thank you so much. It's basically a thanks word that goes at the end of a sentence. So you're correct. So both of those are there for the same reason, is to make it into a polite-ish question, even though she's talking to him like she's his BFF, kurenai, rather than kurimasen ka? So will you teach us, Henry? And the next paragraph is going to go to Zepik.
ベテラノードンは姉をじっと見つめ、くちばしを開けたり閉じたりした。まるで強大な花さみのようだ。So, okay, Pteranodon was staring at Annie
Yep.
and opened its beak.
And what else did it do? Tojita.
And closed it?
Yep, it opened its mouth and closed it. Tari form you might not have learned yet in class. Do you know what tari means? Tari suru.
No.
It means to do things like. So he's doing things like opening and closing his mouth. So it's just letting you know that he didn't just open mouth, close mouth. That's it. They're just like, well, it looks like he's opening and closing that beak right there. Just kind of adds a more doing multiple things kind of idea. So what does this
And
look
then
like?
it says, it looked like siblings talking.
You're right that kyodai means siblings. However, siblings is actually kyodai with a long yo. Kyodai. And the kanji for it, when you learn kanji, will be ani for big brother, like oni-chan, and then ototo for little brother. It's kind of like that. This right here, though, has a kanji for big, right? Dai. And the kyo from Kyojin, from Attack on Titan. So this kyodai means humongous, large like a titan. A large what? Large hasami? Scissors.
I can't read. Scissors, okay.
It's almost as if it's a large pair of scissors. That's how the putteradon open and closes its long beak. And the next line here is going to go to Afifa.
私たちに何か言おうとしているみたい。
Right. So, oto suru, this is a grammar you would not have learned yet, means to try and insinuates that you failed. It doesn't mean you failed, but you use it 90%. If you failed and you want to say, I tried this, but I didn't do it, you're going to be using otosuru. You can use otosuru and succeed. So you have to look at context. In this context, he failed. he did not achieve the goal of iuing. But what exactly is it saying?
We failed to do. It seems like we failed to do something.
So it's not we. See how we have the particle ni here? In Japanese, it's a particle-based language and not a sentence structure-based language. So in English, right, if we have something in the beginning, that's our subject, and then we have our verb, and then we have the object, right? Like, I tried to say, right? But in Japanese, the structure of the words don't really matter as long as the verb's at the end of the sentence. And instead, we're going to be using particles to tell us what job the things are doing in the sentence. Do you know what the particle ni marks?
Direction?
It does. It marks direction. It marks the final state in which the verb is ending at. So the ending situation is when the iu is done. Do you know what iu means?
To say.
To say, yes. So when you are done saying, you should be finishing saying it at this state, at watashi tachi ni, which is us. So this is meaning you should say to us. So ni is being used like a to. The direction in which the saying should have been done in and finished in, right, is in a way in which that the words, right, would hit us, right? They would stop at our location. The thing he's trying to say is that nanika here. This is a little bit harder as the particle has been dropped. So the comma is what I say. It's like, so theoretically it's like nanika o iu, because the thing you're saying is not being specifically mentioned. But it's very common when we have these cause that we won't have the particle with it. Unless it's ni, like nanimo. So like nanika iu. What does nanika mean, do you know?
Like something.
It does mean something, yep. So it says trying to say something to us, mitai. So mitai is a hard word because there's two possibilities. Do you know what any possibility mitai might mean?
Like, it seems like.
It is like, correct. And that is what it's meaning in this context. It seems like it's trying to say something to us. The other possibility, you'd be seeing it with kanji, right, mitai, which would mean want to see. Which is obviously, it's not saying that in this context. So this right here is the sentence. It starts here, goes like that, goes like this. They just made it really nice and easy to read. You wouldn't think so looking at it from afar, but that's actually what they did. It's gonna go to Grayson. Oh, you're muted, Grayson. You're still here. Hi.
ジャックは兄に構わず、口はハサミのようと、ノートに書き込んだ。
Perfect. Do you know what kamawasu means? Kamau? Sorry, I had a
No.
su at the end. Kamau means to care about. And it's not like to care about like I love you. It's normally the care about like it bothers you type of caring about. Like more on that kind of end. And then we have zu here and this wa here. This is why it's like kamau, not kamawau or anything like that. This is because this is the anai, which becomes azu in the middle of a sentence. Why did I make it O? Anyway, this. Do you know what nai
What
form
is
is?
anai? No.
No, you're correct. So ka ma u in negative form is ka ma wa na I kama wa nai, which means do not care about, to not be bothered about, to ignore basically. If you take off the nai part and you add zu, this allows us to have this verb and basically turn it into like an adverb. It allows us to stick it in the middle of the sentence. So in English, this tends to be translated as with. So it becomes without. Without kamauing. What does kamau mean again?
Caring about.
Right, so without caring about who?
Without caring about any.
Exactly. So this is that ni again doing the destination, final say of the verb. The location where not caring is occurring is whatever it is Annie is doing. He doesn't care. It's just describing the verb of kamawazu. That is now an adverb in this context. So Jack, fully ignoring Annie, paying her absolutely no attention, he kakikondas. You know what that means?
Kaki is writing.
It is, and that's the most important verb here. With compound verbs, where we're adding a verb with another verb, the first verb is the most important verb, and the second verb is giving us vibes. Komu is this kanji, and it's the most common compound word in Japanese novels. You will normally see it about once a page, if not more. Komu. Do you recognize that part of komu, that kanji?
Enter.
It is to enter. Komu is normally being used to add to enter as like, which in English is like a preface. I don't remember what it's called. It's like to run up a tree, to enter, to run into the forest. It tends to be that into, whatever that grammar point is in English. That's komu's job in Japanese. So kakikomu means to write into. Yes, the preposition is the grammatical term. You are correct. I couldn't remember. I remember it started with the letter P. It was like the P word. So this means to write into where? Where is our destination? The location?
The notebook.
Exactly. And then we have toll. This is quotation to, like we've seen before in other stuff. So this is what he's writing in the notebook. What did he write in the notebook?
Something about the mouth.
You're right, the mouth. This yo right here is a lot like the so we saw before, which is used with hypotheticals. The difference is that yo, sorry, it's not hypothetical, that's the wrong word. The yo is used with similes. It's basically saying like, or as. So like hasami, and hasami is scissors. So the mouth looks like scissors, is what it's saying. That is what he wrote in his book, because he's writing down very important information. Annie ga mouichido kita. Annie once again asked the question. And Zepik, that question will be going to you.
ヘンリー、教えて、ここはどこ？もしかしたら、恐竜の時代のなの？Henry, please tell us, where is this place? Maybe it's the age of the dinosaurs?
That's exactly what it says. Perfect. And the next line here is going to go to Afifa.
その時、プテルのドンが頭を上げて、遠くを見るような仕草をした。
Perfect. We shigusa, I believe, is like gesture. Shigusa? Yes. So what does sonotoki mean?
That time.
At that time. Then we have a ga particle and an o particle. Do you know what those mark?
Ga is the subject and O
You're
is the
right.
object.
Yes, so putradon is going to be doing our verb agete. What does ageru mean?
Open.
No, that's
to raise.
akeru. Akeru. Always be careful about those 10-10 marks. Akeru, ageru. Totally different words. It's easier when we get the kanji, right? Because akeru, right, will have the very nice kanji of, like that, right? That's the akeru kanji. Versus ageru has the ue kanji. Do you know what ue means?
Above or up.
Ue means up, you're right. So this is the verb that means to do the uppies. So to raise. So at that time, the putradon raises something. What is it raising? Lifting up.
The face.
The face. Now here's again is like, whose face is this? It's not actually mentioning whose face. He definitely could be lifting up Annie's face. There's nothing saying he's not. It's 100% possible. The assumption we would make is that he's lifting up the subject's face. That is the default assumption. And he would have specified if he was lifting up someone else's face, either in the previous sentence or in the same sentence in which the face is being lifted up. So it'd be like Annie no atamao, right? So it's not defined, but like I mentioned earlier, we just assume it's the subject if it's not told otherwise. You make the assumptions. You know what they say about assumptions? Ignore that saying. Always make assumptions in Japanese. So at that time, the putradon lifts up its head, and then it makes a shigusa. It does shigusa. What did shigusa mean? Do you know?
I forgot.
Shigusa is a gesture or a movement of its body type of idea. It makes some kind of body movement. So it's a very generic word. It just moves. And the reason why they're using shigusa is because they're describing the appearance of the movement. If you did like kodo, which also means movement, that'd be a little bit weird that we're defining the kodo to look like something. Because kodo is like shigusa feels like a gesture, like has meaning in your movement, like as a word, right? Like waving your hand back and forth is a movement, right? But it has a gesture's meaning of saying hi. So shigusa is being used because we're giving meaning to the movement of the character doing the thing. And then we have this yo here. Do you remember what yo meant? Like. We have a simile going on here. So he makes some kind of thing that looks like, right, giving up the vibes that he is toku o miru. What is he doing? What does it look like he's doing?
Toku's far away. Like
It
you're
is.
looking far away.
Exactly. So the putradon looks up its head and makes like it looks like it lifts up its head at that time, and it almost seems like it's looking far off into the distance. And then the next line here is going to go to Grayson.
Sono hoko o furikanta ani ga hatoshite sakenda. Okay. This direction.
Mm-hmm.
Annie turned around to this direction.
Yes, she turned around to this direction. You're right. Sono hoko furikaita ani. That's perfect. And this is another great example of a relative clause. We're describing which Annie? The Annie that turned to look in a certain direction. She sakendad. You know what sakebu means?
Not sure.
Sakebu is to yell, so she screams. Before she screams, though, she does hatto. Do you know what this to means?
No, I'm not sure. There's a to that combines nouns, but I don't think it's doing that.
It's not that. You're correct. This is very similar to the previous to we saw over here, which is quotation to. We're making a quote. This is used in this context with sound effects. Because Japanese is a very large onomatopoeia adverb library that are not actual onomatopoeias, but give off onomatopoeia-like vibes, and it uses to describe a lot of things. So our onomatopoeia sound effect that's being marked by to, and they know that is the sound being made, is ha! So she gasps, is what that's saying. Hattoshita! It literally says, she did the action of making the sound, ha! Right?
Ah, okay.
And then she yells. So she has to first go make the gasp. Oni-chan, asoko, big brother, over there. And the next line over here goes to Zappic.
ジャックが顔を上げた兄の指さす方を見た。Jack lifted his head up and looked at the direction that Annie was pointing at.
Perfect. Exactly. And, well, try your best, Grayson.
Nanto oka no ue ni gurishi takara datsuki no oki na kyoryu ga iru de wa nai ka.
That's a lot of words. Do you know what oka no ueni means?
The ue is up.
Yeah. Up what?
Not sure about the oka.
Oka means hill. So, up what?
So we're going up the hill?
Something is up the hill. I don't think we're going anywhere. Do you know what iru means? That's our verb in the sentence.
To be.
To be.
Something is
yes.
up the hill.
Something is up the hill, which is going to be marked by a ga. Can you find the ga in the sentence? What is up the hill?
The big dinosaurs.
You're right. There's some big dinosaurs up on the hill. And the nanto is just like an expression of surprise. Like, good grief! There is a large dinosaur on top of that hill. And do you know what the dewa naika is telling us? Iru dewa naika! Nanto!
Dewa naika. The day, that's like the position.
It is tool day. It's da.
Oh, okay.
It's da is into te form. Which may or may not be tool day. It's da as is in te form. So dewa na is the default way you do negative form in Japanese, because negatives is very important. It's the main thing you're talking about. It's not something. It's not something. Right? The not needs to be the topic of the sentence. So when you say, like, she is pretty, right? Is our da. But if you want to say she is not pretty, the she is not pretty, we need to add a wa to the is to make sure you know that she is not pretty. So that's why we add a wa after the de. And that's like the rule, basically. And then not, of course, is nai. And then ka, right, is the questioning, which is used in a, like, isn't she not type of thing. So, 大きな恐竜がいるではないか means, like, wait, is there not a large dinosaur way over there on top of the hill? Is what it's saying. So now we have this no right here with a comma. Do you know what that's doing?
It probably has some sort of special grammatical function.
It's the same grammatical function as the okano, but it's telling us skip the adjective and go straight to the noun. If that comma was not there, the sentence would be a little bit harder to read, simply because this is a children's book and there's a lot of like karada duki right here. Absolutely impossible. I had to write it up to figure out, oh, that's karada plus duki. Nothing worse than a big old blurb of hiragana like that. But also so that we're not saying it's a karada tsuki oki, which is theoretically grammarly possible. Because not adjectives are nouns, in case you're curious. They're just nouns that have adjective vibes. So this could theoretically be describing that if the comma was not there. But since it is there, we now know we are describing the kyoryu as having a karada. Do you know what a karada is?
A body.
It is body. I thought you'd know that word. And then tsuki literally is that attached tsuki. So if you have a body attached to you, that means that you're going to be describing your figure. So we're looking at your body figure, and your figure you are zunguri, which means short and stout. So, the bodybuilder type of body, very boxy is zunguri, but also short. So we see a short, boxy dinosaur way up there on top of the hill, and the main character is incredibly surprised by that. And then it's a little bit early, but I think I'm going to have it stop here just so that we can stop at the woo, we finished a chapter. I always think that's kind of fun. Sorry about being a little late for starting class. But anyway, Zapik, why don't you read the title for what we'll be reading next week?
優しい恐竜 so kind dinosaur.
Exactly. So that is the end. I'll stop the recording.